here is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pileski dives onto the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pileski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the lap car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner of Willie Rod curb. Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass a 360. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think he missed the complete that. He's crazy.
As I said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Halfway. A scary prospect in any season when the battle rages on, but one that puts a firm marker between now and the end of the season. And in terms of the circuit choice, the European flair continues as we are Dutch-bound today for round 6 of the CTC Lotus 79 series from Zandvoort here on iRacing Live and the global SimRacing channel. Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to another blast in the past to the era of Hunt, Villeneuve, Watson, Lauda, Scheckter, and Andretti. I am Mr. #ViewMind himself, Jake Sperry, here to enjoy another hour of octane-fueled action, and as ever, along with me is the man I will try to refrain from calling Soup today, the other entree in GSRC, Sean Crackers Ambrose. I'm Jed Yarman, will be on the camera duty for this afternoon, as the legendary Dougie the Beard has provided said cameras. Sean, Zandvoort is a truly unique circuit, with the elevation and street feel of Monaco set in the sandy dunes in the middle of Amsterdam, The Hague, Rotterdam and Alkmaar in terms of where it is location-wise. You won't find too many circuits as pretty, but you won't find too many circuits that drivers collectively don't like.
Jake, right here on the dunes that hold back the North Sea. The track was built just after World War II. First Formula One race was back in 1955 now. Back in 2001, they redesigned this track to its current configuration, 4.3 kilometers. It has 13 turns now. Something to watch out for is the sand that the cars can drag onto the pavement. I don't know if that'll be much of a factor today, but you'll see a lot of undulation changes up the hill towards Ski Block, and the last and first corners that may look a little familiar, maybe give you a bit of a NASCAR feel as they are banked going down there into Tarzan, which we call Turn 1. And you may see some overtaking there. In fact, you'll probably see a lot of overtaking there because this track narrows out just a bit. Overtakes and passes will be tough to come by. But the best way to find out what this track is really like today, let's jump behind the wheel of the GSRC Lotus 79 for a lap around Zandvoort.
All right, we've got Johan Orlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Zandvoort. Tarzan is easily the best place to pass around here. The banking around the outside will make it more feasible to try to defend on that line, but it's incredibly difficult. From off the corner, drivers will hold to the left to set themselves up for the narrow Gerlach. There's a little crest that makes it unwise to try to go through too wide, which is disappointing because otherwise Hugenholtz would be another good hairpin for a pass. Try to set yourself up for the exit since it's a steep uphill climb. Plus, you're not going to be lifting all the way through Slotemacher and Turn 5. The rise will make it very blind on the entry into Schivlach, but the banking is what keeps the speeds through this sweeper terrifyingly fast. From out of there, it's a pretty short trip up to Marlborough, which kicks off the modern section of the circuit. The track continues to curve all the way up to Renault, making braking very difficult. This hairpin swings you right into the line for the next hairpin, which is Vodafone. It's a lot more important to get the proper line through this corner since it'll lead you onto the backstretch, so make sure and square off the exit. Drift the car gently across the track, and once you come over the hill, spot your brake marker for the Audi S. This weird chicane hairpin combo is very slow and tight. Like any low-speed corner in the Lotus, be careful with your right foot so that you don't loop it. Then there's Kumo, which is critical to both this lap and the next one. use the banking and try to carry as much speed as you can because you won't be lifting all the way to the line. Lyondike is a flat-out blast with very little runoff to the outside. This could set up some draft battles down the front stretch, but hopefully you've kept it all together and have now finished the lap around Zandvoort.
Well, there you see the Lotus 79, the GSRC Lotus 79 taking a trip around the circuit. Now, it's time we talk about the race details. Of course, if you're a long-time viewer of the Global Sim Racing channel, then this is a fairly innocuous thing that always seems to happen. You can go tune off for about 30 seconds or so. Round 6 of 12, 4 drops for the drivers, 2 for the teams. That's going to become very crucial at the end of the season. Race distance today, looking at it, is a 30-lap race, so it's going to be a little bit longer than people would normally get. No stops of fuel with an open setup, which means that there's a lot of differentiation to be had. And of course, points for the Drivers' Championship go on official iRacing standards. They're a little bit different for teams. You'll get to that in a moment. So, championship as things stands, heading into round 6, Juha Noralampi, 72 points clear of Finnish compatriot Kai Ruokola. He maintains the championship lead, but bear in mind, this is without the 4 drop weeks applied to the drivers. Therefore, there is still a lot of time for drivers like Nuno Moreira in 3rd position to close the gap after his 2nd place finish last time out. Sean, how will drop weeks affect the drivers mentally going into the race?
Well, you know, I honestly thought today would be one of those weeks that drivers would consider as a drop week, but we look at the participation and we wound up with 2 splits. So not thinking that Zandvoort was high on everyone's list. Apparently it was, Jake, so I missed the mark there. But yeah, you know, I mean, that drop week mentality comes in. Obviously, everybody has their strong tracks, their weak tracks, but as you get into the season and you start to get closer to the point where those drop weeks figure in and you haven't taken any, you might want to think, hey, maybe this might be the week that I stay out of it, stay out of trouble, and just consider this one a drop. Zandvoort being, like I said, what we thought might be the example of that, but maybe not.
Maybe not indeed. And now on to the Teams Championship. Of course, they run the 1979 teams from the Formula One World Championship. It's great to see them in effect. Fittipaldi Automotive, though, they hold a slender 7-point lead at the top of the Constructors' Championship. And they've stayed at the top largely due to a certain Juha Noralampi, who leads the championship overall in the driver standings. But with drivers like Kai Ruokola making his points in other splits, that Williams team, Sean, looks mightily scary.
It really does, and it does seem like Kaya Ruokola, the bell cow of that team. Now, a good result for Kaya would be really would go a long way today, and the luck hasn't been here in these races that we've had over the past several rounds. But maybe this is the day that Kaya Ruokola can get there towards the front. Sergio Macias is back, though, and that'll be a driver to contend with. Jarno Frisch is here. It looks like all the players are here, and that will make Kaya Ruokola's day very tough, but a good qualifying effort would certainly help.
It certainly will. He is in this race right now. Macias holds the lead. Jarno Frisch in 2nd position, just 24 thousandths of a second stuck between the pair of them as things stand. Macias has used both his laps. Jarno Frisch certainly has not. Both Ruokola and Noralampi have not set lap times, nor has Teemu Toika, but that changes as the driver of Marko Kika up into position number 10. But right now we'll keep on Jarno Frisch, rounding himself through turn 12, looking to hit turn 13 with a bit of authority. Flat out, he tries to extend it, manages to get so on this long front straight to the left-hand side. You will see there is going to be some beach. 26.5, not good enough, stays front row for now.
Okay, Juha Noralampi on track. It's Kaya Ruokola we're keeping track of right there. Let's go to Juha. Juha getting his 2nd lap in right now, Jake. Coming around here to Kumho. And then got to get through Lyondike here. This is where you really put the power down and just really open the throttle and just lay on it as much as you can all the way across the start-finish line. Let's see how Juha goes here on this 2nd lap.
Oh, it's pole. What a lap. 1 lap only needed. Never in doubt, Juha Noralampi. Wow, 10th clear, and Gerd Hofer of all people up into second position. My goodness. Gerd Hofer having a good qualifying. Now on Ruicola, who is about 6/10 back off the lead right now. Into the Audi S, the right, then the long left, trying to sort out a run, get himself a good exit here as he heads towards Kumo Curve and turn number 12. There's this inconspicuous bump on the middle of the apex, and he takes a lot of curb and a little bit more through that section, rounds himself through the final corner, makes that drive over to the start-finish line. And does he improve from a 26.7? No, he doesn't, so he stays P7. That's massive for the championship. Here's how the grid will look. 18 vehicles here today. Juha Noralampi pole position, 126.183. Hofer in second. Mashias normally at the front in third, but he's joined by Jerno Friche, a man with 8k plus, in fourth. Michel Vandenberg will start fifth with Tapani Linluoto in sixth. Kaye Ruicola will start seventh. Steve Bycroft in eighth with Tobias Gerber, and Mark Pickford rounding out 10.
Okay, 11th is going to be Matt Wood today. Mark Gokika in 12th. John Stevens, the New England driver, 13th. Timu Toika, 14th. Timothy Dalton, 15th. 16th, Pablo Suarez. 17th, Thorsten Kahl. And 18th, going to go to Robert Plumley today.
Robert Plumley, of course, we know very well on the Global Sim Racing channel for his exploits in the likes of the AOR Formula Renault League. Deciding to go with something with a bit more bite, and has the ability to bite back even more here in this Lotus 79. But 30 laps today, no pit stops. This is going to be a very interesting race, mainly due to the fact that when you look at the track conditions, it is hot. Oversteer is not going to be the factor. It's understeer that is going to be the big worrying point. And when you've got a circuit as narrow as this, understeer is the last thing that any of these vehicles want. Outside line, though, for the driver is Juha Noralampi in towards turn number 1. That's not necessarily a bad thing at this circuit, though. There is that banking at Tarzan, turn number 1. It is very easy to hold that outside line, get a better run off of the exit, and make sure that you get yourself that run through to Gerlach and then Hugenholtz as you head towards turns 2 and 3. But engine notes rise for 30 laps. The halfway stage is underway, and it's a slow getaway for Gerd Hofer. He just was a little bit less reactive off the line, and instantly Mashias will dive through. You can see also Jerno Friche trying to go to the outside at turn number 1 at Tarzan. He tries to hold that outside line, but is unable to really make it happen. But Noralampi clear, exactly what he wanted. Friche on the outside at turn number 2. You've got to be careful here. It's a one-line suitable corner. He holds onto that position very nicely. No issues then. Further back in the field, 18 of these Lotus 79s going at it, and going at it cleanly right now. Bycroft versus Gerber.
Timothy Dalton was here at the back trying to make it 3 wide. He's clear now, finally. It's Tobias Gerber working on Steve Bycroft. Bycroft able to get away from the pack here early.
He is. He's managed to just about make that move as they headed into Shivak for the very first time. Now you head through your series of right-handers. They've just gone through Marlborough. Now into Renault corner right now. This right-hander, the second one. And there's a little mistake from Kaye Ruicola as he now looks to set up Vodafone, the left-hander, to try and really maximise the run off the exit to get a run on the brakes in towards the Audi S. One of the only 2 overtaking opportunities on this circuit. The right into the left. You may be a brave man to sling one down the inside. He doesn't think about it on this opening lap. He's got 29 other opportunities to do it, but he has to check up a little bit because of Tapani Linluoto running a little bit wide off the exit there, Sean. I can't get helping but this feeling that Linluoto may lose Vandenberg soon.
It could be. Going back a little bit further here, John Stevens struggling here, dropping positions. Dalton just got by. Timu Toika got back now. Stevens seems to have found it again. He's fighting back here at Timothy Dalton, heading down into Tarzan.
Yeah, he's looking for that run side by side. They will try and go in towards one. Stevens stuck on the outside and hung out to dry. Up the banking he goes there in comparison to Timothy Dalton. Dalton, no slouch, and will get himself through, ranked as number 18. He's the lucky man to get into this split. He's taking every opportunity that he has available at his disposal. But at the front, Gerd Hofer now will be under pressure from Michel Vandenberg. This battle going on, P4, P5 out on the circuit. And Michel Vandenberg, one of these drivers who's always up there in that top 5. Same with Gerd Hofer. Hofer having a very good qualifying, but this is starting to look a little bit more like a Mark Webber style performance back in the Jaguar days right now that we're looking at here, Sean.
Yeah, it could be. It's looking pretty good here so far. You know what, though, Jake, here, just an observation through 2 laps here, really things starting to spread out real quickly. You have the haves and the have-nots, and the have-nots are falling off quickly here.
Well, this circuit certainly does challenge a lot of drivers. Mistake, though, for Luoto. Did not get any traction off the exit. Side by side, they'll go now. Luoto and Ruocolo, the 2 Finnish drivers, going at it together for P6, P7. It will be a good run for Ruocolo through the final corner. Luoto backs up and covers it, but there's not much difference in the toes. Luoto very much more vested to high speed in towards turn number 1. Of course, this circuit, you talk about setup here, Sean, is very much going to be geared to getting as much stability at a very bumpy and elevation-based circuit like this.
Yeah, and certainly you want to have a car that's got that responds well on exit. You can get that grip, but a little bit of downforce will certainly help that. Right now, though, I'll tell you what, Kaya Ruocolo really busy on the wheel and giving to. Oh, and he's in a Tapani.
Oh my goodness, and they come together at Shivak, and it's one of those corners, you're up the hill looking for an opportunity, and Ruocolo maybe misjudged his braking point there on the brakes, and everyone went, whoa, he looked to the inside, never had a nose down in, and he takes Luoto out of that, and there will be some words, I think is the right description for that, some words between Luoto and Ruocolo, well, he looks very, very ragged right now. I don't know how much damage is on his vehicle, but his championship battle is going.
Yeah, definitely ragged right now. That car's got some heavy wing damage on the left front. Not a lot of downforce, sliding the car all over the place right now. Ruocolo really struggling right behind Teemu Toika.
Yeah, he certainly is. Well, he's looking at this next corner, Kumo curve, turn number 12 into the right-hander, hoping to get a run. Not going to happen, but go on. We look at the lead.
Matt Wood. Matt Wood, trouble for Matt. He got off track.
Well, that's also at that second to last corner, just heading to that last corner, and well, he just got 2 wheels on the grass there. He just tried to take too much out of the corner to set up that run, and that is almost impossible to get around.
Yeah, it pulled him out there.
He's off again, turn 1. Wow, Matt Wood not having that very good day at all, and well, looking at it there, he just got a huge kick of what only I can describe as not hitting the brakes hard enough into turn number 1. You don't often see that, but it's what's happened.
Yeah, Matt's gonna struggle all the way from the back of the field here going forward. All right, well, still a lot of good battles on track. Jared Hofer trying to hold off Vandenberg here.
Still is. Well, the gap was 0.4 of a second over the line last time by lap 4 out of 30 here. The battle going on for P4, P5 out on circuit, and Michael Vandenberg rounding that Audi S, not getting a good run there, just unable to apply that power, was very timid there of seeing the vehicle and the torque that is behind those rear wheels, turning that vehicle around, unable to make anything happen. But eyes though on Nora Lampi versus Mashias right now, because we expected Nora Lampi to do very well. He's only just now, after 5 laps, broken 1 second and has a big wiggle through turn number 1, keeps it all nice and tidy, keeps it going. But Sergio Mashias, the driver who has been indomitable all year long, right now looking like he may have the challenger in Nora Lampi again.
I don't know, man. I got a feeling about Nora Lampi today. He looks awful good. That qualifying time was impressive, Jake. Might have set the tone here for what is to come. He's gonna have to be careful. Juha got to keep his wits about him and just be patient here to the end. Continue to focus on his line and getting around this track smoothly.
Exactly.
It's now 1.2 seconds now.
Yeah, exactly. Who can forget what happened 1 week ago where he threw away second position by spinning it on the penultimate lap of the event, giving Nuno Moreira points. No Nuno Moreira in this field today, so he may decide to choose this to be one of his 4 drop weeks here. But back further through the field, back going on for the top 10, Mark Pickford against Marco Kika, against Kaya Ruocolo. Ruocolo still has some pace here as he is able to get back to Kika and Pickford. Pickford all over the anti-cut curve there at the start of the Audi S. But Kaya Ruocolo now making a recovery drive. May have damage, yes, but still able to turn in some good laps. 27.7 last time by.
Yeah, the damage maybe a little overrated on that car, as Ruocola does seem to still have a really, really good handle on it, and now closing here on Marco Kika down the front straight into Tarzan. Oh, gonna take a run at him.
Oh, he had
Got
a
on the
look,
brakes hard.
Yeah, but that's a scare. That's a tactic there from Ruocola. Try and scare Kika into the corner. Kika will be aware of what happened with Linaloto, and maybe will want to give a little bit more room, shall I say, as I try and get my words out. More room in comparison to what Tapani Linaloto gave at Shivak. So up the hill through the S's section now, into the left, and now into this right-hander of turn 5, into Shivak of 6, and now looking to try and hold the momentum. It's very much a momentum-based circuit here, Sean. So when you look at this momentum, you've just got to make sure that you keep yourself in good stead. So there may be a look down into the right-hander. He thinks about it, does Ruocola, and they're side-by-side now through Renault into Vodafone.
It might be one of the tougher right-handers on the course right there, because the car so hard to find the grip there in that turn. But Kiko fighting hard here.
And around the outside went the driver of Ruocola at Vodafone. Rare you see that inside line into the right then happening of what is going to be the Audi S, and that is beautifully done by Kaya Ruocola. There is no doubt why he's second in the championship. He's brought Teemu Toika back in, but all that battling, that's about a second and a half gone to Mark Pickford.
Pickford having a good drive here today. A little bit surprised. Haven't seen much of Pickford this season. This is a good one.
Oh, it certainly is for Mark Pickford. Currently in position number 8, just in front of him. Tobias Gerber in 7th position. Tobias Gerber, if my notes are correct, is the driver that is related, I'd say, to Fabian Gerber. So not necessarily the driver 5th in the championship, but relation is certainly there on that essence. So behind that, you've got Toika versus Kika right now as the battle between the pair of the Finnish drivers. There's a lot of Finnish drivers in this field today. I think 1/4 of the field is compromised of that. But Teemu Toika starting to just drop a little bit. He managed to close down the gap by 1.2 seconds on Marco Kika on that last lap. Most of that down to the battle with Ruocola, but Toika, getting all out of shape there at Marlboro. And that's going to mean that that battle drops back to about a second.
Jake, let's check back in with the leader real quick. The Preacher having quite a drive here early. Now, we haven't even reached the halfway point of this race yet, but right now he's still in command of this race. Macias has just not found the speed to catch him yet. Juha still turning in the faster laps. This time by, he's still got the edge. Oh, I'll take that back, actually. Macias got a little bit of an edge there.
Oh, he certainly did, and that was his quickest lap of the race so far, 1:27.288. That's the fastest lap of the day so far. Sergio Macias is not done here. They're side by side, though, further down the pack as I look into turn number 1. Tapani Linaloto through on Timothy Dalton in the 18 machine. That one was for position number 12 on circuit. Linaloto, of course, on the recovery drive after contact at Shivak with the driver of Kaya Ruocola. So Tapani getting himself past Timothy Dalton, no worries at all, but Sergio Macias not giving up the race lead here, not giving up a race win, not by any stage of the imagination.
Wow, Pickford really starting to go to work on Gerber back here for that 10th spot. Gerber busy looking over his shoulder.
He is looking over his shoulder, and right now Mark Pickford hoping that he can get himself into play, but he's got to be careful. There's Ruocola trying to close down that gap behind and lost 0.7 of a second on that last lap. The pair of them did in comparison to the Finnish driver in the number 3 Williams machine as they head themselves in through the left-hander of the Audi S, the second part of that Audi S before they get themselves going again. Gap between the leaders was 0.9 of a second. Now will open up once more to 1.1 out on circuit, but we'll stay with this battle going on. Ruocola versus Pickford versus Gerber, and Gerber gets a good run off of the exit, and something that has been very characteristic is a difficulty to gain anything really in the draft. The draft a lot less effective than other vehicles.
It's a lot less effective, indeed. You've got to really get into that about 0.5 of a second range to really catch the toe. The only really good opportunity you're going to get at that here is down that long front straight. Ruocola really starting to get up here on the wing of Bycroft, though. I'm sorry, on the wing of Pickford.
Yeah, it's very easy to get the pair of them mixed up there, as they have very similar liveries in comparison, but Pickford now has to be careful. Ruocola will easily want to get himself back into play, and just look at how aggressive there the driver of Pickford was into the right of Marlboro. It means that he had to just scrub all of his speed heading towards Renault. Not the worst thing in the world, but it just allows Ruocola back into play, and again, defensive line taken, he gets all out of shape through Vodafone, so now it's a trial by fire for the driver of Mark Pickford, as Ruocola looks to really crank up the pressure cooker to about an 8.
Pressure felt indeed. Ruocola almost just getting it up under there and lifting him up off the ground. I think it's a matter of time here.
It's a matter of time, but I'd say Robot Wars does not start until next weekend in the United Kingdom, so there won't be a chance to see any flipper robots happening here. But right now, Pickford versus Ruocola. Ruocola close. Ruocola? Hello. But right now, you say Pickford is just trying to stem the bleeding here, make sure he keeps 8th position out on circuit. This would be a good result for both of these drivers, actually, if they stay in the positions that they've got right now. And again, Ruocola just struggling with the nature of Zandvoort, unable to find anything happening at 1/3 distance.
You know what? One of the things I found unsettling about practicing at this circuit is you can find yourself in a low speed turn, and just outside that turn is a high speed straight, and you hear the car zipping by, and you wonder, okay, am I in the right spot on track? Am I going in the right direction? It's a little off-putting at times.
It certainly can be, very much so in a close-natured circuit as this one. They don't have much room or much land to work with, mainly due to the fact that they are on the seaside, so they can't expand in every direction that they want, so they can only go 3 ways in the middle of the city. But right now, let's look a little bit further back, because we have more battles out on circuit. This one, Thorsten Kahl versus Pablo Lumbueras for P14, P15. Not often we talk about these two. Pablo Lumbueras, a driver that we know very well, and there's a little slide from the driver of Thorsten Kahl just in front, and he manages to gather that one up quite nicely there, Sean, so no worries for Thorsten Kahl on the 17.
Yeah, Thorsten's had a pretty quiet run so far, and Pablo has spent most of his time chasing, and Pablo up a spot. Now, Thorsten actually started 17th in this race, so it's been all positive here, and right now the key for Thorsten, just keeping her out of trouble.
A bit of contact between Gerber and Pickford now sitting duck. That was in turn 3 at Hugenholz, and that's a very easy corner when you run a little bit wide to just try and take advantage. There was a bit of contact between the pair of them. No spins, no harm, no foul, but Pickford gets a good run through Shivak. Maybe has a chance into the right of Marlboro, but he will decide against it. Maybe chuck one down the inside, but again, doesn't get the run off the exit. It sends one with the power move down to the inside, doesn't make it stick, but has an opportunity then at Vodafone to maybe try and go for an up and under, and they're all trying an up and under, and Ruocola will get the up and under. There's contact, and round goes Pickford.
Yeah, Pickford going to be odd man out there.
Well, there's a replay on screen of exactly what happened. The GSRC replay then for you right now, and well, he was trying to just open up that corner into the left-hander, just gets himself tracking a little bit too wide, too much speed. And when he tracks back into Ruocola, there was nowhere that Ruocola could have gone. Yes, he was at fault for one instant, but not another. Now Pickford under pressure from Tafani Linalowoto.
Yeah, I don't think either car is really going to be worse for the wear for that. Still able to battle, but Linalowoto, of course, losing those positions. Oh, boy, and that's Marco Kika. And Kika and Ruocola going at it there. Ruocola got it very, very close there, going down into turn 1.
Kika very close indeed, just not able to make things happen. Team Utoika will be happily sitting and waiting further back, but further forward, Noralampi is pulling in the laps of his life. He's done a 27.1 and a 27.2, so he's got the fastest lap of the race as things stand. 2 seconds now the gap, but Jono Friche making uncharacteristic errors, allowing Gerd Hofer back into the scrap, and brings himself within 1 second now, does the number 5 machine. And well, Hofer, you could argue, is the heir to the Friche throne, and this is what you can say is what Gerd Hofer needs to do to get on to the next level, beat drivers like Jono Friche.
Yep, that's a good step forward, and kind of taking the torch. I guess the torch being passed on. If he can beat the man, then pretty soon after enough of those, you are the man to beat. So Jared doing a good job here.
And Pickford ultra defensive in the battle going on for P11 with Tapani Linnoluoto. 28-7 last time by. And you talk about the troubles that Mark Pickford had, 35.9 with the spin that he's got. But he's holding station. He's very well defensive. But Linnoluoto really struggling through that final corner, unable to really close that back down. And the issue is the rear wing is damaged on that Linnoluoto machine. And that is going to cause a lot of issues when it comes to downforce here today, Sean.
Yeah, it really is. Robert Plumley having trouble out there. I had just scanned over and he was sliding off track back in Lyondike there in the last turn.
Yeah, that's the second to last corner. Just gets himself caught up on the curb and, well, he tries to hit the brakes and keep himself out of the tyres. He just about manages it. Kinduchi boy does. So Robert Plumley just trying to get to grips with this machine, struggling through turn 1 as well. So that's something just to keep an eye out on in the next few stages of this event, because he will be one of those drivers to be a lap traffic for Juha Noralampi. One driver scored out of this event today so far here, Sean, and that's Matt Wood.
All right, and the battle between Kika and Toika is real. A couple of Finns here going at it. Toika up 4 spots, finds himself in 10th, and Kika doing some good work himself. He's up 3 to 9th. The battle for 9 is alive and well.
Alive and well, alive and kicking, but Toika not a good run through Kumo curve of turn number 12 into 13, then the right-hander. This final corner, small bit of banking to help you through that section, a little bit of a NASCAR air when you talk about this circuit, and towards turn number 1, not going to be close enough to make that move on that driver of Marco Kika. So Kika will be happy at holding position for now, but right now there's only one story, and that's Juha Noralampi, 2.3 seconds now the gap between him and Sergio Macias. And Macias, not that he hasn't been at the races today here, Sean, it's the fact that he's found Juha Noralampi in inspired form.
Yeah, I don't know what Juha has had to eat today, but he's definitely feeling it. Just really looks strong since qualifying, and has very little need to look back in his mirror at this point. He's really laying down strong laps, and pace is just really good here at the circuit today.
Sean, are you suggesting that you're having what he's having?
Maybe.
Oh, brilliant. But as we have expected here in this event, it's starting to open out a little bit, especially this battle 3-4-5, Friche, Hofer and Michel Vandenberg. Vandenberg starting to drop back now, hasn't had the most consistency, but actually, look at his laps, he is improving a bit. He did his fastest lap on lap 12 of 27.5, 27.8 that time by, but the issue is he's matching a 27.8 from Gerd Hofer and a 27.6 from Journo Friche. They're all slowly pulling apart from each other.
Well, you said it right there, slowly. And now we've hit the halfway point of the race. It's really, the battles have started to thin out. And like you said, they're really starting to separate. The one good battle we still have going is Toika here for 9th place. And then one a little bit further back, you've got Thorsten Kahl and Pablo Lombarez and John Stevens. Stevens back into this thing, trying to battle now. He's recovering.
He has, and well, he's the fastest man of the 3, so he'll want to make light work of the 2 drivers in front. The only issue he'll have, it's 5 seconds back to Timothy Dalton in the 18 machine, so he's got a long way to go in that respect. Up the S's section they go, 3, 4, 5, Shivak of 6 here in this right-hander, just trying to scrub as much speed as you can before getting a good run off the exit. There's a small kink left into the right-hander, which catches a lot of drivers off guard, especially in the early stage of getting this circuit all nice and dandy, as there's a bit of a slide from the driver of Pablo Lumbueras. Lumbueras getting a little bit crazy as Cal also gets himself a little bit of the Tokyo of him.
Well, it's definitely fun watching these 3. You know, we saw Stevens struggle early, and now he's trying to get back into this thing. He would love to pick up 2 more spots here. But right now, Pablo Lombarez making it very tough.
as always. And well, Lumbueras then heading himself through the final corner, needs the good run, will get the good run. I doubt we'll see him move into turn number 1, but John Stevens, a very consistent driver, does sometimes have that ability to surprise people at making moves. He can sometimes make the big one happen, but he won't make it into turn number 1, not just yet. But I've been keeping my eye on the lap time Sergio Macias has been doing, as we're just over halfway in this event. He's just closed down 1/10 of a second over the last 2 laps, brings the gap back to 2 seconds. If he can keep it at 27.2s, if not keep on pushing harder, because he's done his fastest lap of the race that last time by, he can really apply some pressure here to Nora Lampi. It's the Senna-Prost effect that we always see in racing.
Yeah, and you know, you start to look at, as someone who's following, you start to look at the laps left and, you know, what you've got to do as far as time, your relative there. It's human nature to want to try and overdrive the car a little bit. You want to guard against it, but it happens, and Sergio, he's human. He's got to guard against that just like everybody else behind him.
But he's just a fraction slower, only a fraction, but a fraction slower over that last lap. That's not going to be good enough for him to really get himself close. Vehicle off, that's Rucola getting all shades of wrong on the front stretch, and that was running too aggressive over that final curb, getting caught in the grass, and then very lucky there with the differentiation in traction between grass and tarmac to keep that vehicle straight. Sure, yeah, uncharacteristic error.
Definitely uncharacteristic. Watch him come back across the track, almost dives it into that concrete section of the pit entrance there, and avoids it, gets it back out on track. But Rucola, really, honestly, this whole race has been a struggle for Rucola. I think that's fair to say, Jake.
Yeah, this circuit favours some drivers and certainly doesn't favour others, and Rucola, one of those drivers that it's certainly not favouring here today. So you will have to try and sort that out, as in fact he goes wide again in towards the corner of Renault, and that's going to allow back Marco Kika into the battle. And it seems that these Finnish drivers just can't separate themselves today here, Sean.
No, they can't. The only Finn that's been able to do that has been the Preacher there up front.
Yeah, Nora Lampi, the Preacher, and well, you'll send his message out anyway he wants. Michel Vandenberg, though, closing back down that gap to Gerd Hofer at the back of P4, P5, looking to get back going again. And actually, Sergio Macias, 27.1, Nora Lampi, a poor lap, 27.5, gap down 1.7 seconds out on circuit. So Macias, that's his fastest lap of the event, and officially the fastest lap of the day so far. So that shows you that this battle at the front's not over. But Vandenberg, another 2/10 over that last lap, brings the gap down. It's 9/10 of a second between the pair.
Everybody seems to be stepping it up just a little bit here as the second half of this race is well underway. Got cars actually getting faster here on track, Jake. Maybe a few drivers starting to figure this thing out.
Maybe they are. Maybe it takes a little bit of a while to get into the groove. And of course, something that is worth talking about is these temperatures, because the longer this race will go on, the more that those tyres are likely to start going off in the later stages. We've seen no signs of it so far. But is there going to be a cliff effect that we normally see in the likes of, say, a McLaren MP430?
Very well could be. It is cooking out there, 41 degrees centigrade on track. We could find ourselves in that situation here with about 3 laps to go. Everybody could be in save-it mode.
Everyone certainly could be in save-it mode, but Nora Lampi responds with a 27.1 of his own in comparison to the 27.2. And to tell you something about consistency, he was 1,000th of a second off of his fastest lap of the day.
Wow.
That's all that needs to be said. Is
I know.
Wow.
I'm impressed today. I tell you what, though, Macias is a worthy competitor. We knew that coming into this. Jake, boy, I'll tell you what, with the little bit of gains he's making, this could be one of those last lap battles that we always look forward to when we call them one of these races.
Exactly, and talking about last lap battles, if you get a chance, watch the Hoytsenveld MX-5 World Tour from last lap. You will not be disappointed on that one from last night. But still, though, it relies on maybe a little bit of error from Nora Lampi, who is looking very calm at holding that gap at 1.7 seconds there or thereabouts. Sergio Macias not in the CTC. That's very crucial to keep in mind to people. But he is here as the leading driver in terms of the iRacing Championship for the Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series. And that's a battle in his own right there. He's leading by about 200 points. If he was in CTC, he'd be leading this championship.
Yes, he would. And so, Sergio, sign up. Anyway, but
oh
yeah.
My goodness. Lap time from Macias, 26.9.
Yeah.
He breaks the barrier, and Nora Lampe went the fastest that he could, and still he's slower.
That's our first 26.
It is. How can you go that fast and still only gain 0.2 of a second, though? That's what Sergio Macias will be thinking about underneath his visor, because he's brought the gap down to 1.5 seconds, so that's half a second gone. But this is the thing, though. He's got 10 laps to get that down by another second, and right now, that's very touch and go.
Yeah, you know, at some point that becomes deflating when you start seeing those numbers. Hey, I just picked up 0.2 of a second. Journo, free for trouble, big trouble.
Oh, and that's at Shivak as well, so he's gone off, and that's a blown engine, actually, he's had at Shivak, so he blows the engine into the right-hander, and that just causes the vehicle to go around. He hits the brakes hard, gets out of the way, but Journo Fricho blowing his engine, revving too high, and he is the driver who is Mr. Lotus, making an engine blow. That's uncharacteristic.
And crippling for Journo today. Really, really sorry to see that. That's going to be a tough hit for him to recover from.
Well, not just in terms of psychologically, but in terms of iRacing points as well. He'll drop probably at least 100 points because of that one there, Sean.
Yeah, tough day at the track. It's clearly a mistake, and well, it happens to the very best of us.
It certainly does, but the gap at the front down 1.4 seconds now for Sergio Macias. Takes another 1/10 of a second out of Nora Lampe. Starts to turn the corkscrew just a little bit further, but misses the apex slightly at Hugenholtz there. So will probably drop back a little bit of time. He just got caught on the outside trying to bring that vehicle back into play, but was just unable to really close that line back down in. So he's got to be careful about that. Still, though, Pickford versus Toyka going on this one for what is the final spots inside the top 10.
Yeah, it was Toyka and Kika for a while. Now it's Toyka and Pickford. And Pickford, you know, we talked about earlier, having a solid run now back in 10th where he started, but definitely an opportunity here to pick up another spot. Maybe
exactly.
two, as Kika's not that far away.
Not that far away at all in front of Kika. Ruracola maybe if he starts making errors. So there's 3 positions for the offing, as it were, for these drivers, but they've got to hope that they make those gains. Hofer has responded, though, to Vandenberg, and now with the final spot on the podium, I think Gerd Hofer will be very happy with his drive and his consistency here today. And the gap at the front again closes. Another 1/10 of a second there, Sean. And, well, the gap 1.3, but he's running out of time. 1.3, a 1/10 of a second a lap. That's not enough here to actually get past Nora Lampe. He's just got to hope that he takes 2/10, 3/10 at any given moment.
Sometimes I wish we could get a camera on the driver. You know, a real live shot of the driver at home in their sim setup. I'd like to see how much Juha is sweating right now, or maybe not at all. Maybe he does have ice water running through those Finnish veins, because Macias is on his way here, Jake. He's on his way.
He is on his way, but the only time I think Juha Nora Lampe would be sweating would be after a sauna, which I know that the Finnish drivers certainly love at Club Finland. So that might be something to keep an eye out on. Fantastic lines from the pair of them as they head through Vodafone. And again, Sergio Macias trying to go through. And we're going to get ourselves then a replay of Mark Pickford going off there. And that is Pickford having himself another big issue. And now behind Lynn Luoto, he's down to 11th on circuit.
Yeah, Danny Hugenholtz, big trouble there for him. Just gonna overdrive it into that tire barrier. And
so easy.
I jinxed him. That's me, Jake.
It's on you. You'll claim that one, but
Yes.
and a tenth the other way this time. Nora Lampe has found consistency. If you look at his last 5 laps here, Sean, his last 5 laps have been within half a tenth of a second of each other.
Very impressive indeed. Very impressive.
I haven't seen this much impressive driving since I saw Mitchell de Jong go 7 laps within 1/10 of a second in the Blancpain DT series at Spa-Francorchamps. This is amazing from Nora Lampe.
It really is, and this is a much more demanding course than I would say Spa is. Wouldn't you agree?
It certainly is, but there's still battles out on circuit. This one, 13, 14, and 15. Here, these drivers going at it. John Stevens may have a good run this time on Pablo Lumbueras. There's not much Lumbueras is going to be able to do maybe in towards turn number 1. Goes defensive, and Stevens thinks better of it in towards the right-hander, but they check up and try and diamond off that corner a bit there, Sean. So still, it's always about looking for some weaknesses, and Stevens has been right royally stuck.
Yeah, it's not been John's best day here on track. The previous race to this one, the one couple hours ago, didn't work out well for him. I think this one's actually going to work out better in the end. He wasn't able to finish that one. But I'll tell you what, Suarez got to be very, very careful here. He's not looking very stable right now. Maybe having a tendency to overdrive the car himself with the pressure from behind and just off in front. Darsten Call off the track just in front of Stevens and Suarez there.
And that's clipping the curb a bit too much through the section of track known as Marlborough Corner. And he gets it out of the Armco there. He made sure he didn't make contact, but he holds it on. But again, back to Sergio Macias. He just did a 26.8, so he took another 0.2 of a second out of a Juha Nora Lampe that just did a 27 flat, his fastest lap of the event. Anytime he goes quicker, he follows it. 1.2 the gap, 6 laps to go when they cross the line.
Wow, it's just so impressive watching these two go at it today. It's a real clinic they're putting on here.
It always is when you see the Lotus 79s. It's about how quick can you go and can you keep up. Still, though, we got battles on circuit. For example, Toyka versus Kika still going on. But Ruokola has caught back up to Tobias Gerber. This one for position 6 on circuit. Ruokola wants to +1 after a torrid day.
1 second separates the two.
There'll be some draft now, and that'll be very crucial. And look at that, weaving already then from your leaders, Nora Lampe and Macias. So Nora Lampe, he understands what's at stake here. He's had a poor lap of 27.3, so gap down under a second. This race, it's now in the hands of Sergio Macias to try and make the move.
It's officially on, isn't it? 6 laps left to go. Juha just up there hanging on. You don't want to look at the mirror, but you can't help but to. If you're not turning it off, then you're definitely seeing the company there behind you.
It's almost like a shark in the mirror, the way Sergio Macias has closed a second down over the last 10 laps or so. It's the Jaws theme that needs to be playing right now, more rather than Sergio Macias just closing down that gap, because there's not much that Nora Lampe can do except try and run for the hills. But right now, a missed apex from Macias there. That will cost him a couple of tenths.
You don't need to be losing any time here at this point. Nora Lampe even better off that turn. They got there out of Vodafone. Nora Lampe was able to kind of separate a little bit.
Only a little bit, though, in towards the left of the Audi S and trying to get that power down. Macias sees the target, the carrot on the stick dangling in front of him. Into the right-hander they go, a Kumo curve. And now setting up the run towards this right-hander. I think he's lost time on this lap. So I think that Juha Nora Lampe has been a little bit better. The gap across the line was 9/10 of a second, remains 9/10 of a second. Both drivers having poor laps, but both drivers within 0.006 of a second of each other. And that was a lap that Macias needed to capitalize on. Didn't manage it.
Let's slip back just a little bit here. Gerber, Ruokola still working on this here, Jake. I think it's possible. Maybe sometime here in the next couple of laps, Ruokola is just going to have to take a chance and kind of throw himself there at Gerber. Outbreak him, just like here down at Tarzan. You see Ruokola really breaks late on that.
Yeah, he really needs to make sure and find that move. Gerber versus Ruokola. The gap is 0.6 of a second then between the pair of them, and Ruokola needs to make sure that he brings himself into this battle, takes position 6. 0.6 of a second is a lot easier than what Sergio Macias has up for the race lead, but Ruokola knows here, Sean. He knows that he has this opportunity to make this move. He's just got to make sure it's clean. He's been closing 0.2 of a second every single lap for about the last 4 laps or so.
Trying to be patient with it, trying not to make another mistake. Ruokola wheeling that damaged Lotus 79 around this track well enough to be competitive at this point, sitting right where he started it, and has a chance to pick up one spot before this race is over.
And it's better lap times from Sergio Macias, but it's much better from Nora Lampi. 27 flat for him, his fastest lap of the day, right where he needed it most to get that gap over 1 second again. Almost a dagger into the heart. It's not quite the heart. It may have hit the spleen, but not the heart just yet.
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Okay, we've got one battle at the very back of the pack. Suarez, Stevens still going at it. You know, Stevens has been working on this for a while, and I think Stevens might have figured something out. Is about as close as he's been to Suarez here.
But he gets a horrible line
Yep.
through the Audi S and drops back 0.3 of a second. Just
And that's my
like
fault.
that. And yes, it's your fault again, Sean, so hang your head in shame.
Maybe my new name should be hashtag it's my fault.
Oh, dear me. Well, a couple of hashtags there to get trending on Twitter, but John Stevens still unable to close that gap, and if they're not careful here, when you look at your leaders even right now and the lap times they're doing, they may be soon close if Thorsten Karl makes mistakes to having to deal with lap traffic. It looks like a better lap time, though, from Sergio Macias as they head themselves through the right-hander of the final corner, and that's a lot closer from Sergio Macias on this lap. That's definitely under a second. 3 laps to go, and the response is a 26.7 from Sergio Macias. Gap down 0.6 of a second. He halved it in 1 lap.
Okay. I think we've got a real race in our hands now. What do you think, Jake?
It's been a real race for the past 5
It
laps.
has,
I
it
hope
has.
that it's become even more real. And Sergio Macias, the moment you start counting him out, he just bangs in a lap time like that, and you don't know what to say except, my goodness, what does he have underneath that Lotus right now? And well, a little bit of a wiggle into the right-hander of Shivak will mean that he'll drop a couple of tenths again, so it's not over, it's not decisive.
This is a hard battle to get off of, but Kika and Toyka are really just having a lot of fun out here. Right now, Kika getting the best of it, but Toyka battling really hard. It just comes right up to Kika and then just can't seem to pull off the move. There's been about half a dozen failed attempts here just over the past 2 laps.
Half a dozen failed attempts. He'll hope one of them will surely work with Timu Toyka or Marco Kika, but just not having it at the moment, just not finding the magic to make that overtake as they now head into Renault corner. This right-hander trying to set this run up, and it's a tighter line from Kika. Gets a better run off the exit. No chance again, though, on the outside trying to set it up is the driver of Timu Toyka, but Toyka will not be close enough. Gap stays at 0.6 of a second between the leading 2. 2 laps to go now here, Sean, and you feel Sergio Macias has got to find the mother of all moves.
Yeah, it's gonna take something special at this point to really get around Juha Norlampi, because he may be able to catch him. Is Newgard just going to let him get by? That battle continues. So does the one between Gerber and Ruokola, Jake. That one is still really exciting. Ruokola still trying to figure out how to get through or around Tobias Gerber. Gerber able to be just defensive enough to keep Ruokola in the mirror.
Yeah, just enough to keep defense in the mirror, but we'll keep an eye on that one between now and the end of this race, because we're going to focus on the leading battle, Nora Lampi versus Macias. These two have been going at it hammer and tongs all season long, and it's been the number 4 driver who's had better luck than the number 6 of Nora Lampi. But Nora Lampi now, with it all in his hands, with a lap and a little bit to go, traffic in front in Thorsten Karl, they will have to be careful of If they catch him before the end of this event, it's touch and go whether they do. Into Kumo Curve, and Nora Lampe getting a very good run before they head to the final corner to start the final lap here at Zandvoort, and the weave will happen yet again, but the gap looks like it's extended a little bit from 0.6 of a second. In fact, I'll tell you what, it has marginally again. Another 27 flat for Juha Nora Lampe. Another chance at holding off the gap that Macias is trying to hold in into turn number 2 and now into Hugenholz of turn number 3. And still, you think that Macias will hope to try and find a move, but he's just too far back. As things stand, he may need to prey on a rare Nora Lampe mistake. He had one last time, but that didn't help him. That helped Nuno Moreira in terms of what he wanted. But Macias wants the points for the iRacing Championship, not the CTC. And Nora Lampe, if he was thinking about this CTC crowd, he'd give that position up if they were side by side. Through Marlboro, now into Renault, and you think that the timer is expiring. Just a few more corners to go as they now head into Vodafone, and the traffic is there, and that could play a factor. Little bit of a wiggle though from Nora Lampe through the corner. That drops him a 10th, but a 10th right now is okay to drop because he knows that he's got everything in his sight. Into the Audi S then for the final time, and 2 corners to go. 2 just remain, turns 12 and 13. Kumo Curve and then turn 13, and Nora Lampe from the front, unchallenged, but certainly given a run for his money. He will make it to the border, and he will make it there in time, because from here in Dutchland, here in the Netherlands, he's heading to France with a victory. Great win, Nora Lampe, and he will feel very happy with half a second overall. Hoferer will beat Michel Vandenberg over to third, but it's side by side. Ruokola going down the inside at the Audi S. It's not working.
No, and Gerber still trying to hold him off. Ruokola as close as he's been here towards the end of the race. Keep an eye on that one. There's another battle just behind.
Touch. My word, they almost touched, and he thought he had a chance down the inside at Kumo Curve. It didn't work, and he'll have to give that one up. He tried everything. It didn't happen there, Sean, but behind that, we still have the likes of Pickford, who is just angling himself towards the end of this event. And wow, just wow, what a race it was towards the end. P9 was certainly a hot battle that we were looking at, but Pika and Toika, same positions it is.
And Linelauto actually got himself into that battle late in the last few laps of the race and almost made a three-way race of it. Stevens is going to hang on and hold off Mark Pickford here across the line.
Yeah, Mark Pickford really struggling with that damage towards the end. Pablo Lumbreras and Thorsten Kahl will be the last vehicles to cross the line here today, but right now, what we're going to do is going to step aside for one moment. What I like to call the post-race show. Come to you here on the Global Sim Racing channel in just a couple of moments' time. This is the CTC Lotus 79s. Well, it seemed it was a little sleepy for a while, but when we got to the end, it seemed all the fireworks were starting to come back into place again. So, rundown of the field and how it all looks. Juha Noralampi half a second clear of Sergio Macias in second position. Gerd Hofera will be very happy with the podium after his poor start. Michel Vandenberg finishing fourth with Steve Bycroft. Quiet again, but a very quiet fifth position he'll be very happy with. Tobias Gerber will finish in sixth position, just ahead of Kai Ruokola. Marco Kika will finish off in eighth position with Timu Toika in ninth, and Tapani Liniluoto will round out the top 10, Sean.
All right, we'll take the rest of the field here. Timothy Dalton, he will finish 11th today, and John Stevens going to finish there behind him. Had a good battle going with Pickford, who's going to finish 13th. Pablo Dombera Suarez will finish 14th today. Thorsten Kull, 15th. Robert Plumley, 16th. Jerno Frisch. Oh, what could have been for Jerno, a really, really tough finish there. 17th after blowing that motor. And then Matt Wood is going to finish down in 18th.
In 18th position, 26 laps down. Only managed to complete 4 of the laps that we've had. But what we have to say, Sean, is that before we talk to our one and only interview of the day, is that when you look at the circuit and you look at the way that the battle's been going on, next week is going to be a lot different from what we normally understand. We'll be heading to Le Mans. We'll be running the Mulsanne layout with the chicanes, and that's going to be a much bigger and different challenge for those drivers, especially with how long and how fast the circuit is.
I can't wait to start turning some practice laps here, to be very honest with you. That should be very interesting in this car. And I do like the fact that those chicanes will be in play down the Mulsanne. Very, very challenging. I don't know. Did you see how many laps we're getting for that race, Jake?
Not many, I wouldn't have thought. That's about the best that I can say about that. But what we do have is your race winner here, Juha Noralampi. Juha, it's been a while since we've seen you on the winning step. Such has been a dominance of Sergio Macias, and he certainly didn't make it easy for you today.
Yeah, Jake. Well, what can I say? I'm really, really pleased now because Sergio has been unbeatable this season. Nobody has been able to win him, and I just thought that this weekend could be a possibility because I'm been able to practice this week quite a lot, and well, I like this track, and well, I have some my thoughts to make some different setup for this kind of weather, and it's a very, very good setup for this weather, and I was quite fast at the qualifying earlier, and this qualifying wasn't so good because I missed the first lap, and then I just had to take it a little bit easier, but I'm glad that it was enough for the pole, and the race was something else.
The race indeed was certainly something else. So talk us through your last 10 laps then, because you had a gap of 2 seconds and it was slowly whittled down to 1 second, and for the life of you, you had a stage of 5 laps where you put yourself, clean within half a tenth of a second of each 5 laps, which was incredible consistency, but still, Sergio Macias would eat up a tenth here or there, and it seemed that he just never got close enough, and you just kept your pace up that little bit enough to just hold him off at the end.
Yeah, it was a very interesting race, and I don't know why the pace was different at the beginning and the rest of the race. But well, I pushed hard. I pushed everything that I had, and that's now possible because as I last week said that I have been experienced a miracle from God, and I'm now very, very healthy, and I could say that I'm almost now 100% healthy, and my condition is so good that I can now race 100% every lap, and I just aim to make those laps by lap so fast that I could get that gap, and before the half of the race I was at over 2 seconds, and then I just I was wondering and thinking something that maybe I could ease a little bit and lose some what you say, sharp at the speed, but I couldn't find the rhythm anymore, and that's how Sergio was coming to closer and closer and closer, and I just couldn't risk anymore to find that maximum pace. I was a little bit worried about some corners there because there was a very, very odd wind there. Sometimes it pushed too much to make some turns flat out, and you never know at which turn and which lap it's the worst wind. But I had to say that I'm really, really thankful for the God and for my miracle, and I just want to thank everyone here at this forum and this iRacing platform who have been praying for me. I know that there are many who have been, and I want to thank them also. And about Sergio, I have to say that he's a very, very hard guy to beat, and he didn't give any room for me to relax. He was so fast again, but luckily I was a little bit ahead when the finish came.
Well, there we go. We call him the preacher because, well, he's certainly seen something happen to him, and he gets a victory now off of some very, very good consistent form. Juha Noralampi then joining us today. We will thank him very much for joining us, but unfortunately, that's probably all that we've got here today in terms of CTC action. So what we are going to say is that we're going to give our thanks here this afternoon to all the drivers and teams of the Classic Teams Championship for their stunning battles and their decision to fly GSRC. Thank yous will also have to go out to the companies, equipment and software that have been involved or affiliated with this afternoon's broadcast. And also the thanks go to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde for the music that you have heard this afternoon. Details of how to contact them are on screen right now. And speaking of contacts, if you are wishing to have your series broadcast or you just want to find out when the next dose of sim racing action or otherwise is live, pop over to globalsimracingchannel.com or check us up on social media with the Twitter handle at GSR Channel, or catch us on Facebook as the Global Sim Racing Channel. Well, it isn't often that we stay in Europe for so long, but in terms of classic circuits, none are more apparent than the circuit of Le Mans as we thunder down the Mulsanne in 1 week's time to kick off the road to Monza. But as always, that has been Sean Crackers Ambrose, that has been Amjad Yaman, and that has been the man who some say sticks a GoPro camera on the front nose of his Lotus 79 to win any drag race to the line. That is Mr. Doug Beard. I have been #YouMine Jake Sperry. And well, Juha Noralampi finally breaks the dominant code of Sergio Macias, but Macias will be hard fighting still between now and the end of the season. He's got an iRacing championship to think about. Always remember though, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.